What's up, everybody? Welcome to the BOiS. I am Ricky Bucks. This is our first podcast. Hopefully not our last podcast. I don't know. We're going to see how this goes. But we're going to try this thing out. We're here to introduce ourselves, tell you what we're about. And then we are going to recap this wonderful, wonderful 2023 Ohio deer season. There's a lot going on with that. I got the Ohio harvest numbers in front of me. A lot of good storylines on the year. Little controversy. A lot of interesting stuff there. I'll be honest, it was kind of a weird season, but we'll get into that. I kind of thought on our end. We will not be your typical podcast. Please do not let children listen to us. You can if you want, but that is your own decision. We're not going to be trying to be inappropriate too much, but there will be inappropriateness and some language. That's going to happen. So you can kind of take that as you will. This will be a fun-loving show. We will not be here to tell you too much how to hunt, where to hunt, what to do. You could figure that out, and everyone likes to do it their own way. We will be screwing around a little bit. We plan on bringing interviews throughout the season. We plan on talking to people live, answering questions, doing some fun segments, more like a variety show. That being said, as you listen, you will figure it out. So I don't need to explain that much more. So not sure about how everybody else felt this year, but on our end, we thought it was kind of an odd year. Crazy acorns early. We saw deer movement that was not typical. Deer in places that we usually didn't see. Deer not showing up that usually did. Very odd season. Good season, but odd season. Wondering if everyone else kind of had that same outlook on it. Love to hear that. We will, by the way, have a phone number to call where you can leave messages and we will answer questions on the podcast. Tonight it's just me, Ricky Bucks. We will have others. We got a whole crew that will be stopping in time to time, letting us know their thoughts. If you follow the page, Trophy Bucks of Ohio, you can see, man, there was a lot. I'm looking right now. There was a lot of monster deer. I feel like it's like that every year with Ohio. What we noticed most was the amount of typical monster deer. We had, the Alexander buck. Everybody knows about that. We'll talk about that later. Mega giant. We had, I don't know his last name, but Jason in Ashland County with like a borderline record book. You get all these shared base things that you never know what's going to end up happening, but right up there, it's like just a absolute mega. And then I'm just scrolling. There was tons of them, just like typical frame giants. You had the non-typical ones too, but I thought it was exceptional for some of these typicals, which is kind of cool. We'd like to get that Milo Hansen buck knocked off the pedestal. Get that and maybe let the Rampola bucks shine some light. We'll talk about that later at some point, but that would always be interesting. I'm pretty sure that there was a contract signed. That's the rumor. And until the Hansen buck is beat, then the Rampola buck can come to light. That's, are you a believer or are you not? That's a topic for another day. But yeah, tons of typical bucks that were killed. Huge frame deer. Like I said, a lot of non-typicals too, but yeah, so obviously everybody didn't have an odd year. They were putting these things down. Another thing I was looking at is the numbers from last year or from this year. So I got them right in front of me. 213,928 deer. So almost 250,000 deer were harvested this year, up about 3,000 from last year and 12,000 from the 3-year average between 2020 and 2022. I don't really know how to take those numbers. They could be good, I guess. It sounds good. People are getting deer, people are hunting. That's awesome. That's what we need. More hunters out there. I thought it was interesting. The number one means of harvest was archery, 100,000, 100,951. First season ever to exceed 100,000 deer. That's pretty crazy. More and more people bow hunting. Very cool. Very cool. I don't know what the numbers were last year, but it's the first time to exceed 100,000, so that's a record. Coshocton was the leading county. I think that's pretty typical. Coshocton, Tuscaroras. Shut up, I don't know how to say that. Ashtabula, Muskegum, Knox, Licking, Holmes, Guernsey. A lot of that central east Ohio. A lot of hunting land there. A little northeast. This was very interesting to me. Again, I don't know the comparison last year, but 35%, 75, which would be 75,000 deer were killed with the crossbow. That was the most. That was the preferred means of harvest, the crossbow. People are getting out there. Crossbows are crazy now. We shoot one here with the kids. That's like, but that's what we love about them in that sense. That we let the kids can get out there and be ethical with them and get lethal kills when they usually wouldn't be able to get out this young, and they're learning the woods early, which what we need, hunters, young kids in the woods. So take a kid hunting. We need that. Straight walled cartridge rifles next, 60,000, 28%. Shotgun, 31,000, 15. People are still using the big dogs. That's pretty cool. I know people in our camp, most people I talk to are to the rifles. People still got the old faithfuls. I like that. It's always fun. 15%, 14%, 29,000 vertical bow, muzzleloader 8, handgun. Woo, I like it. All those Texas hip hunters. 526, less than 1%, but man, that's pretty cool. Be on a bucket list, huh? Trying to pop one with the handgun. Pop, pop. Muzzleload, yeah. Crossbows, pretty cool. 10-point likes that, man. Everyone's whipping those 10 points, 50 yards, shooting dimes. That's interesting. But hey, it gets people out. Whatever, as long as it's legal, do your thing. Does 99,000, 46%. Antlered bucks, 43%. Button bucks, 9%. Oh, that's all right. Hey, if it makes you happy, they taste the same. Bucks with shed antlers, or antlers shorter than 3 inches. 3,000, 1.5%. It's pretty cool. Pretty does, 46. Antlered bucks, 43. Almost 1-to-1 there. Ooh, here's what people get mad about. The non-resident hunter stats. I don't know what your thoughts are on that, but you can't blame them. Ohio's sweet. I'd come in here if I didn't live here. As easy as we make it. 415,000 deer permits across all hunting seasons. That was Ohio hunters. I'm sorry. Ohio hunters were issued 415,000 plus deer permits across all hunting season. Hunters from all 50 U.S. states purchased the deer permits for use. So we had a representative from every state. Man, can you imagine that guy from Hawaii? Sweet. I wonder if he was like Samoan up here doing some deer hunting. I love that. It'd been cool to party with him when he was here. Could have had like a luau at hunting camp. The Alaskan guys, this year they probably thought it was like freaking Texas, how warm it was. Oh, here we go. States outside of Ohio with the highest non-resident permit sales include PA, 8,800, Michigan, 5,000, North Carolina. Southern boys coming up. They had more than West Virginia. You'd think West Virginia being on the border would bring in more than North Carolina, but hey, I didn't realize that many deer hunters in North Carolina. That's cool. They hunt with dogs down there, I think. I could be way off on that, but I'm pretty sure they do. It's kind of interesting. And then New York was fifth, right behind West Virginia. PA, Michigan, North Carolina, West Virginia, New York. Those were the highest states outside of Ohio with the highest non-resident permit sales. That's cool. PA, I expected that. Indiana, I'm shocked is not on there. I guess they're hunting sweet too, so why come over? Yeah, I don't know what your thoughts on that. There's always the great debate. Drawings, permits, still get your money, less hunters. But hey, we're doing something somewhat right. We got a lot of deer. Probably could be better. Always could be better. But that's another topic for a different day. Let me see here. Hunters generated 1.9 billion with a B in economic spending. That's pretty sweet. Released by the Wildlife Management Institute. Research finds 5% of Ohio adults. So if you're ever, I seriously, I'm not just saying this. I think of that sometimes. I'm sitting in a room like, how many of these dudes hunt? You know, you're trying to find them at like parties who we could talk hunting with. 5%. So 1 out of 20 adults, and it didn't say men or female, or male or female. We only have two genders on this show. 5% of Ohio adults hunt. So 1 out of 20. 500,000 individuals, about 500,000 people. So there's a good chance if you're in a crowded room, you got some hunters in there with you. 91. Oh, that was just. Wait a second. Participate in hunting. That's all hunting. 91% of those hunters take part in deer hunting. So there's your answers if you ever think of that like me. Maybe you don't. But about 5% of Ohio adults. I wonder what the kids is. But anyways, yeah, 5% of Ohio adults. So 1 out of 20. Pretty cool. So that's the stats. Peakofohio.com is where I found all that. Here's another stat. During the Ohio deer season, hunters took an estimated 12 million pounds of venison. Million pounds. 12 million. That's pretty cool. Enjoyed by friends, family, hunters, and a lot donated to food banks around Ohio. Love that. Love that. 12th time overall since 2022 that we exceeded 200,000. This was the highest count in more than a decade. In 2012, the 2012-2013 season, 217,000 deer were killed. So they beat us that year. But hey, we're on the uptick. Hunters, 1 out of 20. That's pretty cool. 1 out of 20 hunters are hunting. So there's that. There's the Ohio numbers. We talked earlier. A lot of monster deer. A lot of cool stories out there this year. Yeah. Nationally, just a little recap of that. The typical stuff. I don't even know where the one buck. I honestly think the biggest buck I saw killed all year was in Oklahoma. I'm trying to find it here real quick. Sorry. Oklahoma had just an absolute mega giant. It was pretty early in the season. This thing was huge. Where is it? I know I saved it because this thing was an absolute monster. I think like the Buck Venture. Oh, here it is. Buck Ventures guys posted it. Oh, there's no date to go back on. Ethan Kyle. Type that in somewhere and you'll find a giant Oklahoma buck. It's like well over 200. It's humongous. I have no idea. This is a guess, but I would guess like 240s, 250s, 260s. They get to a certain size. I think it's really, really hard to estimate because you're not used to seeing that many tines and points. Buck Ventures on Instagram. Ethan Kyle. It was earlier in the season. You might have to scroll, but it was huge. I think that was probably the biggest buck I saw. I'm not saying it is, so don't bash me, but that I saw, at least impressive look like it was huge. All the people, all the big dogs out there in Iowa were killing them. Lakoskis, Drurys, Bomars, all those dudes were slamming monsters, usual. I did find it interesting. Again, I could be wrong, but I follow here to there, not like I used to. Used to be like a Drury nut. I used to like get the videos, the whitetail madness and all that, and like wait for they came in the mail and want to go on marathons of those DVDs. I don't like that anymore. I ain't no nerd. How about it was? It was sweet. But yeah, I thought it was interesting. From what I did follow, and now Terry, I think got a bigger buck than Mark. If you follow those, I always felt bad for Terry. Terry was like the older brother that like always screwed up or never had the big buck done. Mark was like slamming monsters like 3 a year, and he'd be like, "Oh Terry, that's a sweet 160. Look at my 195." But Terry got a monster this year, like over 200. I think it was his biggest buck. So booyah, Terry! Shout out, brother. You the man. Suck it, Mark. Not just joking, Mark. You're so sweet. Like everyone's idol. We love you. But no, so yeah, Terry got a monster. Um, yeah, a lot of cool stories this year out there. A lot of big bucks. Pretty typical, nothing too crazy. And then there was Ohio. And before we get into it, I just want to say, all stories, issues aside, the CJ Alexander buck shot. I don't even know when it was shot. Hold on, let me see. It was probably around November 12th, 13th, something like that. Is the biggest buck I have ever seen in my entire life. I know it's like, oh, it's not even close to being the biggest score. I don't care. The frame, it has everything. What is it again? Hold on. It's 27-inch inside spread, 32-inch plus main beams, which are record book. I think there's probably, you can count on one hand deer with that long main beams. 50 inches in mass, and people are like, that's got to be wrong. No, it's not. I saw a score sheet. It carries 6 and 7-inch masses throughout the beams. So it's got like baseball bats with 14-inch tines or whatever they are coming off, 27 inches inside. There's not a thing this deer doesn't have besides non-typical points. Mass, world class. Beams, world class. Width, world class. Height, it is. I honestly think if you put this deer up against any deer ever killed, it's the biggest looking deer, if not right there. It would look small to no deer ever killed in the wild. It is an absolute, true, once in a lifetime, maybe the biggest deer frame, just everything I've ever seen. You've seen like the Hanson buck, maybe taller, but this thing has everything. That deer was thin. This deer has mass, width, beams, height. I still have not yet seen it. I hope we get the chance to, because I can't imagine seeing it in person, because those deer usually, as big as it looks in pictures, they usually don't, it doesn't do justice until you get your hands on it. So like everything will just look so much bigger because the proportion when you see it in real life. And I've heard people that know what they're talking about and know deer as much as anyone say that this deer is the biggest deer they've ever seen, and that it is absolute insane. Um, I just saw a picture of it with the Illinois roadkill, which is one of the biggest frame deer ever, and it's right. I mean, it's just absolutely insane. I got the picture sent to me, and I swear to God, I didn't believe it. I said, that's got to be a pen raised or altered. I'm like, nah, I'm not even acknowledging this, because this is one of those fraud pictures, fake. Nope, real deer, huge, 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 huge. And then there's, I'm sure everybody knows, the issue that there is controversy around the deer. People claiming that it was not taking legally, where, or basically that the hunter did not take it where he said he did. I am in no position to really even talk about this. I don't know the details behind the scenes. I will talk about it though, because fuck it, because we're going to talk about it, but this doesn't mean anything. So have your own thoughts. I will say, I have talked with CJ Alexander. On the surface, this kid seems like the nicest, down to earth kid that was in the right spot at the right time, super grateful, seemed humbled by it. I had no reason to believe that he did anything wrong. Now, obviously, there's stories out there, stuff people might know. I might sound stupid saying this. Maybe I'm duped. I don't know. I don't see it, but what the hell do I know? I mean, I have no idea. It will come out. I will say this. After talking with him, I'm going to be honest right now. He seemed like a nice kid. Then when I heard they confiscated the antlers, I'll be honest, and a part of me wanted him to have done wrong in a weird way just because I wanted to have faith in our ODNR that they're not corrupt or I don't even know what word to say, but that they were doing things right. Because in this day and age, it's hard sometimes to trust the authorities and things like that in these situations because the ODNR has been in some of these higher ups in situations like this. Just personally, I know someone very personal that was accused of something because they shot a deer someone else did, and I know for a fact that they did no wrong, and these people made their life hell for a couple months trying to just prove wrong so they didn't have the deer, and it all went away and was fine, but it was crazy what people will say and make up because they're not happy with something. I still hope this is not the case. I really do. But what we do know is that they took the antlers and they took his phone, and I think other people they know his phone. And no charges have been filed. I know there was a DA involved well, I don't know this, but that's everyone's that was after the deer and was upset he killed the deer. I don't know. I don't know what to believe, but from my experience with CJ Alexander, he could be duping me, tricking me. But it seems the kid is just a victim of people pissed he shot it or don't want to believe it. I don't know, but I do know that they did not charge him criminally. It was a civil suit that was supposed to be on Monday that they want him to just forfeit the rack. Once he said no, they canceled it. They dropped the civil suit. It is reset for April, which from what I understanding is just to officially drop that one. As far as I know, from the time now till you hear this, criminal charges could be filed, but they haven't been yet. And believe me, I would think if they had anything, they would be. And they took everything from this kid to check it out, and they got nothing so far. So I am very interested. Now, part of me, this kid seems really nice. I like him on the surface. I don't know him personally, but from what I've talked to him, I hope he gets the deer and everything's perfect. And if that's the case, that is going to be messed up. I feel like Ohio hunters are going to revolt or some extent that if the ODNR, because of who somebody knew or who knew who, wanted to pursue this and make this kid's life hell, this kid's life has literally been hell. Again, in the land, he could be deserved. But if it's not, it's a way bigger issue than if it was. Because if he gets busted, it's gonna suck. They're gonna take the deer. But if he is found that he did no wrong, they made this kid's life hell. At that point, I hope he sues. I mean, talk about defamation and, emotional distress. Like, this kid I know was like seriously depressed about this. And how could you not? Everyone just saying bad things. I said the person I knew was going through hell, and it was something to the millionth degree of this. I just can't imagine. It would be very disheartening. And how could you trust the ODNR and the powers at hand with that if this was just a bullshit thing because somebody they know or somebody who knows wanted this to happen or was mad because he killed the deer or couldn't accept it that he killed the deer and went to these lengths of making this kid suffer. And I don't know. This will be very interesting. I will say, if he was guilty, that's going to be that. It sucks. F that, man. That does suck. But I think it's even a bigger deal that if he's not and he did no wrong and they did this, how do we trust the ODNR? How do we trust those people? It'll be fucking crazy to see this because this is like we said, a world class deer. And now it's a big story. How do they come back from that? How do they accuse anybody? And I will say this, it is interesting. I'm looking at the stuff right now. It's like, if this is not true, and this is a wild goose chase, this is fucked up because these investigators that were on this case questioning different people, and this is fact. CJ Alexander posted it, and you look into it. Some of these, I'm not going to say names because I don't know what the hell's going on with these stories either. I could be way off. These people could be completely innocent too. But some of these ODNR guys are under their own investigation. One, and this is straight from news heralds and stuff. These are legit articles. This guy is under investigation for a 5th-degree felony for tampering with records and a 3rd-degree felony. Like a 2nd-degree misdemeanor. Like, these are the people questioning CJ Alexander and his buddies, and they're under you would think the ODNR would say, hey, we're going to do this huge, high-profile investigation. Let's get some, people that, these guys could be completely innocent that are under investigation too, but just because they're under investigation, you would think you do not want them involved in the case, and yet they are. So it's going to look, if CJ Alexander's guilty, fuck, that sucks. That deer, it sucks that deer was killed. Hopefully the ODNR will show its antlers, but it will go on as normal. If he is found innocent and they had nothing and this was just doing somebody a favor or because somebody was mad they tried to take this deer, that is going to be wild because they look bad on every front because the investigation itself, who they had involved in it. Like, how does anybody trust them? Like that, yeah. Wild stuff, man. Wild. Fucking wild stuff. So we'll see. It just does suck. The poor, if he's innocent, that sucks because, man, he should be having the time of his life. I'd be driving around the state with my tailgate, man, with that buck, like showing everybody. I think I would just like walk around to the stores with it, just talk about it, man. That'd be awesome. But this kid, he said it was when he talked to me, he's like, I wish I'd have never got this thing because it's like what it's done to him, man. So we'll see. As my man Theo Vaughn says, we'll see. Yeah, so that's in April. They got that coming with that hearing, but I've heard that hearing is just to basically officially drop the civil charges because you have to have technically a hearing for that. And then we go from there. So that's where that's at. Now this could change. Right now I'm doing this on 2/22/24. So we'll see. But yeah, guys, that was Ohio. Babbled on about that, but a lot of big bucks out there. A lot of cool bucks. Way to go, guys. Keep it up. Keep hunting. Keep growing deer. Keep shooting what you want. Hunt how you want. As long as it's legal, do your thing. Hunters are getting less and, well, maybe not 1 in 20, but I feel like hunters are getting less and less. Hunters are getting, with social media, more competing with each other. Fuck that, everybody. Come on. Let's hunt, baby. Do it your way. Do it how you like. Just do it legal. And we're going to keep rolling. That's probably the most serious we'll be in here a lot. So we'll have some fun things coming on, some cool segments. We'll be following up with these stories, the Alexander Buck stories. Hopefully we'll talk to him once this is all done. Hope the kid's telling the truth. We'll see. Could have duped us all. Duped me, but I think he's legit. This could be a bad take, but I don't know. He seems like a good kid. We'll see what the ODNR. ODNR actually, for their sake, better hope. That's all. They better hope that they have something because this is going to look really, really bad. Messing with the kid's life like that and something great. Just tainting the whole thing. So, that being said, what else we got here? Yeah, that's like I said. What's in store for you guys? We're gonna have some fun stuff here. We'll be talking again. We're not intentionally gonna be explicit, but it's gonna happen. So let kids listen at their own risk. And who the hell am I kidding? We might get 4 listeners total ever. Because it might be the last show. So, well, if you do start listening, don't listen with your kids in the car, or just know that they might hear some language. And on the episodes that we have some segments that are on the more inappropriate side, I will warn you. I promise you that. So, that being said, happy end of the deer season. Great season. We'll wrap up. Next year, we have tons in store for cool ideas that we will be doing throughout the season. Next year, this Buck Boys are going to bring you some awesome stuff. It's going to be fun as hell, and we're going to be rolling. We'll be doing some off-season stuff to kill time because it gets slow. Us crazy hunters, man, we want to do hunting stuff, but it's a little slow. But we'll be doing some things to keep it fun, and we will catch you on the flip side. As we leave, we will finish with the Pledge of Allegiance, because here at this show we are patriots, we are Americans, and we are God-fearing sons of guns. So, with no further ado, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Adios.